Steve, are we good? All right, man. Steve, are we good? All right, man.
Dude, why is that? Why is it just repeating that over and
I have
over
no
again?
idea.
Oh my god!
You would think after goddamn however many shows this is, 11.
Hopefully it's done for now. Like now, I have to keep the volume up on the preview window so I can see if it does everything it's supposed to do.
We are never testing audio again.
Never, ever, ever. When I say we're hitting the live button, like that's it. I don't care.
Jesus.
Dude, why is that? Okay, so we're good. We're good. God, man.
Are we good?
Yeah, well, we're good. We're toasty.
Okay, I'm muting.
Oh man, Leo's right. It's like a well-oiled machine.
Well, dude, just because it's well oiled doesn't mean it fucking works. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
exactly. I mean, you could throw oil in a car at the junkyard. Doesn't mean it's gonna run.
Exactly. What's going on, everyone?
How's
Welcome back.
How's
It's another
everybody doing?
phenomenal episode of Two Guys in a Trailer, off without a hitch.
Not a single one. Not even a
Fucking
trailer hitch.
Professionals. Yeah, that was a good pun.
It was.
I like what you did there.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good.
So today we're talking about 28 Days Later and Layercake.
Yes, we
two,
are.
in my opinion, fine pieces of cinematic history.
Oh,
Would that be the right thing? The cinematic history?
well, let's talk about it.
All right. Well, since you brought it up, what do we want to do first? You want to talk 28 Days Later or you want to talk Layercake?
Depends. Do you want to disagree first or agree first?
You know I'm always for a good disagreement.
Let's go 28 days later then.
Okay, let's go with it.
All right. So, a little bit of background info on 28 Days Later. It came out in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
It's a horror film, obviously. Directed by Danny Boyle, which I don't know who that is. Stars Cillian Murphy and some other people that I don't know.
Some other people, yeah.
Some other people.
It's about right.
It's 113 minutes long. Had a budget of £8 million, which is, I don't know how much real money that is, but sounds like a lot.
How much is that in freedom units?
Yeah, how much is that in, like, freedom? Exactly. But it box office returns, it was at $82.7 million. Which I don't understand. Why would you tell me the budget in pounds and the box office in dollars? And also, if you'll notice the high standard of research we do on this show, this is the Wikipedia page.
Yes.
So,
yep. IMDb be damned.
Yeah. Fuck IMDb.
I mean, IMDb exists for a reason.
This movie is interesting.
Okay. So now, before you even get started, right? You and I talked the other night, and you gave me an insight. You didn't give me the entire conversation, but you did give me a little insight as to what to look out for this week.
Yeah, well, partially.
Yeah, partially. So
I didn't give you the whole load.
Yeah.
You know.
So after saying what you had said, which, by the way, was
That it looked like it was filmed on a potato.
okay. A statement like that has to be researched. So it had also been, I don't know, a handful, maybe two handfuls of years since I've seen 28 Days Later, since I watched it. So I went back and watched it today, intermittently throughout the day, and I was like, you know what? He's kind of got a point. He's got a kind of point because this movie does not age very well as far as technology goes, right? So what I mean by that is the camera quality that they used then, they used on purpose, right? So it was shot through a bunch of filters on lower fidelity equipment to give it kind of a Blair Witch found footage, grimy real life kind of thing that you were watching, right?
Yep.
However, with the advent of 4K and QLED and stuff like that, these, 4K cameras that shoot, 4K at 240 frames a second, and it looks like the person inside the TV is literally inside the TV. It doesn't age well. So I went back and watched it, and I was like, now I see what he's talking about. And I can't disagree with that. I can't.
And
now,
just to point out again, it was a choice. It's not like they were limited to using a camera like that. Because if you look at the same movies that came out around the same time, you're talking Minority Report, Catch Me If You Can, all came out the same year as 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
And they all hold up today.
Well over time. Matter of fact, I watched Minority Report 2 or 3 nights ago. I was sitting there and I turned on Minority Report because it's on Tubi for free if anybody wants to watch it. But I watched it. I forgot how good that fucking movie was, man.
It's a great movie.
I forgot just how good that movie was.
Tom Cruise is crazy, but he picks good fucking movies.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Or he gets cast for really good movies.
Yeah.
So, yeah. 28 Days Later, however, is pretty much the driving force behind the early 2000s to really to now kind of zombie craze. And I know people are going to say they're infected. It's not zombies. It's not the same thing. Get the fuck out of here. They're zombies.
Yeah.
They're just not.
It's just a different spin on zombies.
But one thing I really appreciate about this movie, other than the fact that they did take a chance and shoot a movie that was not going to age well, is they looked at it from a perspective that all other, including one that we just talked about, Zombieland, Double Tap, even movies like that fail to acknowledge that bloodborne pathogens can go through any bodily fluid. So if a zombie shoots blood or pus or whatever the fuck is inside their skull into your mouth, you now have that problem, right? Like you are now infected. And this movie does it, and they do it properly from the get-go, right? The guy gets cut with a piece of steel, and then the zombie bleeds all over him, or the infected person bleeds all over him, and the girl immediately looks at him and with zero remorse just starts cutting him into pieces, just right there on the spot. So the guy that looks up to see the body hanging over the top of him gets a drop of that blood in his eyeball, and they eventually he has to meet his demise. But other than that, what did you think about it? Like the fact that it didn't age very well aside.
Well, I would love to just put that aside, but one of the things that I really like in a movie is cinematography, right? For me to enjoy a movie, the movie has to look good. Like, that's why Blade Runner 2049 I thought was a great fucking movie, because the cinematography in that movie is insane. Like, it's a beautiful movie to look at, right?
But there's
This movie is not that. This movie, it literally like there's a scene where they're driving by a bunch of flowers or whatever, and I'm sure you remember the scene I'm talking about. There's a bunch of
Yep.
different colored flowers, and it literally looked like my TV threw up.
Now,
Like I was like, "What the
hang
fuck?"
on. That was one of the scenes that was purposefully done to make it look like watercolors. Right? That was done on purpose. That
I
was
understand.
okay. That was done on purpose
but,
to make it because in that scene, if you notice, that's one of those scenes where the mood of the music changes. There's classical music playing behind it, and he's looking out the window, and it's a very somber type thing, and it's something that makes it feels a little bit more soft and not as brash and contrasty, high contrast like most of the other scenes look. So I get that, but there's things about how the movie was shot that I think are fantastic. The fact that this dude is literally walking through one of the fifth most populated cities on the planet, and there's not a soul around him.
Well, yeah,
like the scene where he's walking across the bridge, and Big Ben is directly in front of him, and there's not a soul around, or he's walking through the square, and the camera shot is from probably 15 stories up, and he's just a little dot walking through this place, and it's like the scope of some of the shots make it feel.
There are things I definitely liked about the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll start with those. I liked the story. Right? The story's good. The plot's good. I like the way it tackled the idea of like a zombie film. I like the way I just like the way it was handled in that regard. I thought it was paced pretty well. The acting was good, especially for like a horror movie. And it had some interesting things in it, and you could tell that it definitely inspired things like The Walking Dead. It definitely inspired the zombie craze, like you said. So I get all that. But
always a but.
It looks like shit. And I don't think it was like they had to use those cameras due to budget constraints. I don't believe that.
No.
I think it was a creative choice.
It was. It absolutely was.
Okay, great. But it was a short-sighted choice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right? I don't think either one of us can disagree with that.
Yeah, like it was definitely a short-sighted choice. So, and I had never seen this movie before. So I'm literally looking at it for the first time in 2020. And it stood out to me. It was like, it was hard to watch for me. Because it's like, this looks like a shitty quality YouTube video. That's what it looks like. The whole movie. At first, I thought maybe my TV was fucking up. Like, seriously. I felt like I must have been having some internet problems and it was like buffering real bad or something.
Lagging.
But that's just what the movie looks like. And that's a big fucking, that's a huge con.
That's a huge con.
My book, okay? So that's hard for me to get past. Also, it's not that scary of a fucking movie. Like I kept reading about how like this is one of the top horror movies and one of the scariest movies. It's not that scary.
No.
Like at all.
No.
Like there's nothing that like the majority of it is tension and it makes you think it's building up to something and then it kind of subverts what you think it's going to be, like when the guy gets the blood in his eye. Like you think it's building up that like, oh, he's about to get attacked. Right? Like he's about to the zombie's about to come out of somewhere and fuck that dude up. And then it's not that. He looks up and there's a dead zombie and blood drops down and gets him in the eye and it fucking turns him into a zombie. It's like there's a lot of that. There's a lot of tension building moments and it doesn't really lead to what you think it's going to lead to, which can be a pro or a con, I guess. The one thing that I really fucking liked about the movie was the music.
Yes.
The opening song, the opening theme song or whatever was fucking great.
Yeah.
And it fit the mood perfectly. And it kind of continued that, like the whole movie. The songs really added another layer to the movie. So, like I said, for me, this movie is like the definition of a mixed bag. There are things I liked about it, and there are things that I really, really disliked about it. So I'm kind of in the middle.
Well, okay. So overall, right? I have to give I have to give this movie huge props because it started a thing that was kind of not really a thing anymore, right? The whole zombie movie era wasn't a thing anymore. How many
Yeah.
people do you see on a daily basis riding around in Texas with one of those fucking biohazard stickers on the back of their car that says zombie response team?
Oh yeah.
Right?
It's,
So, like,
yeah.
it started an entire thing, or it brought it back to its rightful place in the horror movie kind of genre. I don't think this is a horror movie. I think this is more of, I would say, this is kind of horror thriller type deal. There's no real comedy in it, but there's also not a whole lot of conversation in the movie either. There's a fair bit, right? But a lot of the movie, the guy's kind of on his own, and he's trying to find his way through the scope of that movie as a whole, right? If you take out the fact that they made a stupid decision in not going with some future proofing in the cinematography, then
Yeah.
yeah, I'll give you that, right? Could they have shot it in 4K and downscaled it to 360 and kept the raw files to be updated 25 years from now? Sure, absolutely, they could have, but they didn't. So
Yeah.
now, let me ask you this: with the current climate of movies that we're seeing now,
Oh.
right? With the climate that we're seeing now, where things like Jurassic Park are being pulled out of the vault and revamped and repackaged and done with today's effects and today's CGI and today's camera technology. How do you think this one would do as a reboot?
I think it definitely has potential.
I think under the right direction and the right.
That's the thing. It would all come down to what director was going to do it, because I'd be afraid that it was going to get turned into just a regular zombie movie. Like, to me, one of the most interesting things about this movie was the whole them being quarantined, essentially, especially with everything going on right now with the coronavirus and shit.
Oh yeah,
Like, it was a perfect timing for me to watch this movie, because that was kind of what was in the back of my head the whole time. It's like, it actually makes sense. That's probably what the government would fucking do if something
yeah,
like that happened. I mean, instead of risking it spreading everywhere else, just fucking cut off whatever place is infected and, you know,
yeah.
let it fizzle out on its own.
It's kind of like, what was that movie? Shit. What was the movie with Rona Mitra and she's a cop? She's got the little eyeball that she can take out, and it's got a little camera in it. God bless America. What was the name of the fucking movie?
I have no idea.
She's driving a Bentley. There's a dude with the fucking blonde mohawk chasing her. Oh God, what's the name of it? So somebody please tell me the name of this movie, or I'm gonna lose my fucking mind.
I have no idea.
Oh dear God, I'm gonna have to look this up. I'm gonna have to look it up because that was a
But
good movie too.
yeah, I, that kind of, I don't know. Like I said, this movie is really a mixed bag for me. I wish I could have liked it more, but I didn't. Like, it was okay. I didn't hate watching it. That's not true. I did hate watching it, like, because of having to watch it. Like, it
Doomsday.
looked like shit.
Doomsday is the name of that movie.
But for story, for the pacing, for some of the interesting concepts it brought up, the fact that it obviously did influence a lot of modern day zombie movies and stuff, I've got to give it some credit. So for me, 28 Days Later gets a 3.
Damn!
And that's the best I can do.
Dude, I swear to God, I'm sitting here thinking, and I do this every week when it comes to your rating. After hearing the conversation and it comes to your rating, I start thinking in my head, what is he going to give it? What is he going to give it? And I was going 3.5. I was fully expecting you to be like, because of the good and the granted there was a stupid decision, but the way the storyline was and this and this, I'm thinking 3.5. And I would have been really happy with a 3.5.
The reason I'm saying 3 is because it's not just that it was a stupid decision. It literally influences the amount of entertainment you have watching that movie. For me. Like it does. It's not just like, I don't know. It doesn't work for me.
All right.
But a 3 is still, it's not terrible. It's like if you can watch it for free, which you can, I would say watch it, especially if you like horror movies. And if you haven't seen this one somehow.
It's no Velocipaster.
It's definitely no Velocipaster. It's worth a watch, but just maybe go dig up a really old TV and watch it that way.
If you watch this movie on a tube TV, would that change your perception?
Probably. I'd probably enjoy it more. But that's what I'm saying. I've got to give it a 3 because of the experience that I had.
All right. Well, oddly enough, because I watched it and it was very hard to watch because it did not age well, I'm going to go 3.5.
Okay.
Just because I appreciate the genre a little bit more. I understand what they were trying to do. It didn't age well. And it's not a very easy thing to watch.
It really isn't.
Looks like we got a 6.5. And you know what? I brought up something just a second ago that I did want to circle back to that we didn't talk about last week because we were supposed to. But when I was sick and I was sitting at the house, I turned on Velocipaster.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, with that being said, after the conversation we had, I watched about 19 or 20 minutes of it. Probably 18. It's less than. Can we give a negative score on this one?
No, but you need to remove your half a point and put a fucking 0.
You know what? No. I'm going to give it a half a point just because somebody somewhere went out and did that.
You just said, could we give it a negative score? And now you're giving it a half a point?
No. Look, either I'll give it a -1 or we'll give it a plus.
That makes no sense.
It makes sense to me. I can't give something a 0 because it exists.
A -1 or a half a point. Let's meet in the middle at 0.
Actually, in the middle would be like -0.25.
Oh my God.
But I did make it 20 minutes in, 18 minutes, maybe 16. I don't know. But we're going to keep this at a 0.
What did you think of the car on fire? Wasn't that a great explosion?
Oh, man. Dude.
Avengers what? That's
exactly.
some CGI, right?
Yeah. It's just a blank screen.
Just says car on fire. It's great. So
there you go.
28 Days Later.
And Velocipaster.
And I'll say this, after watching 28 Days Later, I had no desire to watch 28 Weeks Later.
You know what? Here's the funny part. 28 Weeks Later is not shot in the same framing. It's not. They don't use the same cameras and stuff like that. 28 Weeks Later, I feel, and this is sacrilege amongst a lot of people, I feel like 28 Weeks Later is a far better movie than 28 Days Later.
Whoa.
Like a far better.
Yeah, we'll see. And I'm surprised at your score because I thought this was going to be like one that you were like, oh, this is a classic. And is that how you went into it thinking, and then you watched it and you were like, okay, it didn't age well?
No, you remember the conversation we had about what's her name's titties? in
Yeah.
Species.
Yeah.
What's her name? Either way it goes, I immediately sat down and was watching Species and got to the part where she's got her titties out and she walks up to the guy and she's topless. And I immediately texted you and I was like, nope, they're still really good.
Yeah.
Right. So I get what you're saying. However, I still have to look at this for what it is, and I have to be objective, not subjective.
Well, and just to point it out, the IMDb score for 28 Days Later is at 7.6 out of 10. So we're not that far off. We're just a
No,
little lower than them. And I think that obviously 7.6 was probably like when it first came out. A lot of those really high reviews were when it first came out. And I'm sure then it was a greater experience, but it's just now.
Natasha Henstridge, that's her name.
Ah.
Anyways,
So,
great titties.
Layercake.
Layercake
Now, this was one I hadn't watched.
that you were interested in watching.
But it was actually in my Netflix queue. Like it was one of the ones that I wanted to watch because I had read somewhere that this was the role that got Daniel Craig
007.
007, yeah.
Mhm.
Which Casino Royale is probably the best Bond movie of all time.
Mm.
Easily 10 out of 10.
Mm.
But Layercake came out in 2004, directed by Matthew Vaughn, which is the same guy that did Kingsman.
Yep, good movie.
Another great movie. And it stars Daniel Craig, Tom Hardy, and some other people.
Tom Hardy looked very weird in that movie.
He did.
He was extremely young. I think we went from Tom Hardy in The Warrior, Tom Hardy in Spawn, to Tom Hardy or Venom, and then Tom Hardy in Layercake, and that's
Yeah. 105 minutes long, budget of $6.5 million, box office returns 11.9 million. So, had you seen Layercake before?
negative.
What did you think?
Okay. So I watched this movie, and it's something about the way, and I know this has nothing to do with Guy Ritchie or Snatch, but anytime I watch a movie that is based in the UK and I start hearing those accents, I immediately think about Snatch, right?
Yeah.
You know, I always associate a British gangster with Bullet Tooth Tony, right? He's smashing your head in his Jaguar door and then answers the phone. Oh, hello. How can I help you? Yeah, sorry about the accent. That's
That was
horrible.
really,
Yeah, it's probably bad. But either way it goes, I always kind of definitely think in that same kind of genre. So, you know, thinking about this, it's he's not really a gangster, but it does have that kind of gangster element to it. I thought it was a really good movie. I thought it was really good. Once I realized that he's not a gangster, he's a fucking broker, and he literally lays out his entire plan of how you're supposed to handle business when you're dealing with narcotics or illegal substances and stuff like that. And the only logical way to get in, get your money, and get the fuck out unscathed, like he lays it out, and it seems pretty genius. So I'm watching the entire movie going, I hope he does it. I hope he's actually able to get out, and I'm rooting for him right off the bat.
yeah.
And then it always happens. You get the double cross, and you get the the guy who says he's my best friend stabs me in the back, and now all of a sudden I'm sitting in the back of some rich dude's car listening to audio proof that he's throwing me under the bus. And I think that one of my favorite lines out of that movie is the guy's talking to Daniel Craig. They're sitting there having drinks, and he disassembles the gun, and he sits it all out, lays it all out on the table, and he goes, and just remember, if you ever have to kill somebody, do not tell a soul.
Yeah.
Right? And then he goes out, and what does he have to do? He gets it in his mind like, I have to go do this now. I have to go clip this guy.
Yeah.
So, I all in all, I thought it was a really damn good movie.
Yeah.
I don't see how that movie got him the 007 role, though.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't either. I think people are reaching.
Yeah, because it seemed like he was kind of a pussy in that movie.
Yeah.
He wasn't very Bondish. I mean, he did have that kind of slick, silver tongue that's kind of associated with James Bond. He's always been a smooth guy. So, I mean, maybe that's what they're talking about.
I liked it. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was great. I just thought it was good. I thought it was like a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
There was some funny shit in it, like British humor.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
Which is always really dry.
Yeah. There was probably the worst case of blue balls ever filmed.
Oh, my God, dude.
Like, seriously, he's about to smash and then gets kidnapped and tortured instead.
Not only is he about to smash, he's about to smash Sienna Miller.
Yeah.
Like, that's not just smash. That's like, what's his name? Leonardo DiCaprio fixing to smash Margot Robbie and she sticks her fucking foot in his face. Like, that's not just smashing. That's mega smash.
Yeah. And he gets fucking taken off and beaten up instead.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There was some stuff in it I really liked. I liked the double cross, actually. I thought it worked.
Well, it definitely added another layer, pun intended, to the story.
I liked the fact that he started out as a businessman, but by the end he had to get his hands dirty. Because I think if you're in that line of work, that's pretty much how it goes. Eventually you have to get your hands dirty.
Yeah.
And I thought the ending was really good. I actually really liked the ending. Where it kind of breaks the fourth wall. He's narrating and he says, if you were smart as me, you would know my name or whatever. And then, because you never find out the fucking dude's name. Right? In the movie, the credits, he's XXXX. That's what he's billed as.
Hang on.
Yeah, they never tell you his name.
Surely they had to tell you his name.
Mm-mm. On the credits, he's literally listed as 4 X's. And that's why at the end he says, he says something about, and you may ask, what's my name? Well, if you were smart as me, you would know why I didn't tell you or something. And then that's when he gets shot. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Wow, they never did.
No.
Because I'm trying to think back in some of the little conversations that he had with people in the movie. That's why when he gets that phone call from the guy, what's his name? What do they call him? The dragon?
Dragon, yeah.
Yeah. He's like, do you know where I live? He says, come over and I'll make breakfast. And the guy goes, okay. He says, well, you know where I'm at, right? And he says, no. He said, well, fuck off then. And closes up his phone and throws it on the bed.
Yeah. Yeah.
They never said his name.
I also really like where he hired the guy to assassinate the dragon guy, and then he gets shot in the fucking head while they're, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, they did say his name.
No, it didn't.
I promise. And I'm trying to think, because when they're in the car, right, and the guy puts the CD in the CD player, and they're talking, right? The guy that he shot in his little flower garden is talking to somebody else, right? And it's being recorded.
Yeah.
He says, and what was his fucking name? He's too...
That's his name in the movie. XXXX. There is no name.
Dude, I'm telling you.
I'm telling you. That's why at the end he says that. If you were smart as me, you'd know why I didn't tell you my name or whatever he says. He says something along those lines.
Yeah, I know that. Dude, you know what? It's going to drive me crazy now.
I'm telling you, there's no name.
Let's see.
Guys, there's no name. I promise.
There's got to be, dude. It's got to be. Yeah, because, I mean, I know in the club, right, when the fat guy, when his cousin or whatever it is comes over there, he says his name.
You are wrong.
He has to, man.
Go watch it again. I promise. But I liked that. I thought that was a pretty cool twist, the way it ended, where he's saying, because by the end of it, you feel like, I think what happened is they make you feel like you know the character so well that you just assume that you know his name, and then you realize at the end you really don't know jack shit about him. Like,
That's so weird, man.
yeah, it's literally just taken over a couple of days, so you don't really know the guy at all. But it was a good movie. I think Kingsman is a better movie. So I don't know. I'd probably give it like I don't think it's a 4.
I've
I've
got to give it a solid 4, dude.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3.5
because it's definitely worth a watch.
It's worth a watch, and 3.5 is worth a watch. But I don't think it's like a must see.
I don't think it's a must own.
I don't even think it's a must see. I mean, it's good, and you're not gonna hate yourself after watching it. You're not gonna not be, you're not gonna not have fun with it. But it's not like you're missing a fucking classic or anything. It's a good movie.
And it's under 2 hours, so it's easy to watch.
It's a good movie. It's a good British crime drama thing. It's not great. It's just good. So I'd give it a solid 3.5.
All right. Well, I'm going to give it a 4. So we're looking at a 7.5.
Which is, let's see,
we did a bunch of fucking mediocre ass movies this week, didn't we?
7.3 is the average IMDb score, so we're right on the money.
Yeah. 7.5 is on par with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It is actually a full point less than Snowpiercer. Yep. And it's only a half a point better than 31. So
31, see, I don't know. That's crazy. I think I enjoyed 31 more than I enjoyed. No, I enjoyed Layercake more. I enjoyed Layercake.
No, you just can't go back on it. You can't admit.
No, I think I enjoyed Layercake more. As a whole, solid movie. 31, the opening scene is fucking great.
Yeah.
If the rest of the movie lived up to that, so good.
I thought it did.
Yeah, it didn't. For me. So,
right.
as again, when I pick movies, we get 10s. When Heavy picks movies, we get 7s.
Yeah, we get solid 3s.
6.5s.
Yeah.
So you can see who's really who's the Ebert and who's the Roper. You know what I'm saying? You can really tell. Or what's the other guy's name?
Siskel?
Yeah, that fucker.
Hey,
he's Siskel. That fucker. I'm definitely the Ebert.
Yeah, but here's the thing. They watched all the movies.
Yeah.
So we're not watching.
They got some of them wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
Just like we do. Well, we haven't gotten anything wrong yet.
Yeah, I think we've been pretty spot on. So next week,
anybody in chat watch Warrior that hadn't seen it and thought it was amazing?
Yeah, did anybody watch it after the show last week?
Was that last week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Warrior, and you're next.
There's a little delay, so we'll see
That's
your
a lot
answers
of delay.
later. Yeah, but I'm just curious if anybody watched it because it's fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you want to quickly tell them what we're watching this week?
Yeah, so this week we're going to go with Knives Out. I have no idea what this is. Steven said it is a thriller,
Murder mystery.
murder mystery. So I'm he said that, and I'm like, okay, I'm fully in on murder mystery. And Six Underground, and that is a new one released last year on Netflix, late last year on Netflix, for with Ryan Reynolds as starring in it. The it sounded pretty good, so we were both as soon as we saw Ryan Reynolds, we were like, hey, he's usually pretty good. I don't know, man. I think Ryan Reynolds turned in quite possibly one of the best horror movies ever filmed in Amityville Horror.
Oh,
Dude, he played that role to the fucking T.
I mean, he was better in Blade Trinity, but
Yeah.
everybody's saying 600 ground is horse duty.
Really?
Well, D-Bone said it's horse duty, and Leo Barry said 600 ground is hard to watch. I forgot that it's a Michael Bay film, so it may not be that great.
That should be fun.
Yeah, but we can just tear it apart.
Well, look, unpopular opinion here. I like Michael Bay movies.
It's definitely an unpopular opinion.
I'm a huge fan of the Transformer series, dude. I'm a huge fan of Ninja Turtles.
It sounds like fucking dubstep in the background. You
You know, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. It's Michael Bay.
D-Bone hadn't seen it, so Leo
Oh.
said it sucks. So we'll see if
Well,
Leo's
he said it's hard to watch. He didn't say it sucks. He said it's hard to watch.
Well,
Some people would say the original Transformers was hard to watch, but it was a fucking phenomenal movie. What did you just say under your breath because you're too big of a puss to say it out loud?
I said the original Transformer movie sucks. Shia LaBeouf is a baby back bitch. Michael Bay, more like Michael Gay. Did you just hit the show?